What scared the heck out of the cast while filming? How did the showrunners manage to make a Marvel show without almost any CGI? And what did Olsen and Bettany fight about for the first time in 6 years of working together? Hi, I'm Dylan. Let's celebrate the MCU debut on TV, the recreation of the old school comedy. As surprising as it is, WandaVision is nothing like Avengers. Instead, it looks like a tribute to the iconic sitcoms of past decades, starting with the 50s.
Oh, this is gonna be a gas!
It definitely took a lot of investigation and work to make viewers recognize the Dick Van Dyke Show, Bewitched, or the Brady Bunch in each episode.
It's like a conversation of American sitcom through the decades with a Marvel film. It's been really fun.
Accepting that challenge, the director, Matt Shakman, said he aimed for authenticity, not parody. So they recreated everything, from vintage lenses, production, settings, and costume design, to countless tiny details, which formed just the right mood for the sitcom decade each episode reflects.
Is this really happening?
Yes, my love.
It got to the point that not only was the cast in period clothing, but the whole crew was sometimes in it too. Elizabeth Olsen, who plays Wanda Maximoff, said that while it was certainly one of the most fun projects to work on, it was also one of the hardest jobs because of how often everything like camera lenses and lighting had to change to adhere to the decade. WandaVision also got with the past times via vintage commercials, which, by the way, are quite sexist, just like they were in the 50s and 60s.
It's the go-to for clever housewives.
Say, this machine has some shine.
The MCU president Kevin Feige pointed out that these hold the clues to the story development and add another level of mystery. So keep following those Hydra ads, folks. Now, back to sitcoms. Olsen opened up that working on the project reminded the star of her personal connection to the genre, as her older twin sisters Mary-Kate and Ashley starred in Full House as kids. It was insanity, she said. There was something very meta for my own life because I would visit those tapings as a kid where my sisters were working. Actually, Olsen's background didn't hit Feige until he was standing in the writer's room surrounded by photos of that sitcom.
Sitcoms are fun.
Yet there was something that scared the hell out of the actors on set: shooting in front of a live audience. Yep, the star cast was very nervous about strangers staring. To really get the genuine spirit of a classic sitcom, the first episode was filmed in just 2 days, like they did it back in the day, in front of a live studio audience who laughed and applauded from behind the camera. It was so nerve-wracking, and there was a lot of adrenaline, Olsen said. There were a lot of quick changes, and it totally confused my brain. The idea of not playing for an audience, but feeding off an audience and having a camera, I was really grateful when we added the fourth wall for the second episode. Similarly, Paul Bettany, who you know as Vision, was terrified, having not been on stage in 20 years.
And I was really resistant to the idea. I really dug my heels in, and finally it just yielded, and we were doing it, and just running around like idiots, bumping into Kathryn Hahn at the prop table. I felt like we were all in school doing a school play, or it just felt really great.
Kathryn Hahn, as Agnes, actually thought it was a thrilling experience. She explained that it felt like they were jumping off this cliff together, with them having no idea how it was going to play out. For this reason, the 50s was her favorite decade to shoot.
Hello, dear. Hiya, kid. Hiya, kiddo.
Deborah Jo Rupp, who plays Miss Hart, said she loved performing in front of the live audience, as she's into the theatrical aspect of it. It was fun for her to see the confusion on people's faces when they figured out they were being shown a classic sitcom. Not the usual Marvel thing they expected.
You could just feel like heavy confusion, like, what? I just loved it.
I bet it was hilarious to watch Vision and Wanda act out their superpowers live without CGI. In fact, WandaVision's first episodes had almost no CGI at all. When Marvel says it's up for stretching its cinematic universe to the limits of a small screen project, you can't help but still imagine all the smashing, intergalactic, multi-dimensional adventures nailed by crazy CGI. Only on a laptop screen. But not this!
This is our home now. I want us to fit in.
In contrast to the dynamic camera movements and CGI-enhanced sets found in conventional MCU movies, WandaVision's camera is fixed, and the superpower actions look like drawn-out twinkles over a crossfade. Olsen said, "We watched our special effects team that usually blows things up, sets things on fire, creates wind and smoke. These guys now became puppeteers of things floating in the sky and dealing with magnets, different ways to make things spin, and so on." So Wanda's magic is simply camera tricks and Vision's inner workings are old-school 2D animation. It's not that the director Matt Shakman is more into the real deal after making episodes for Succession, Fargo, or Mad Men, because, he did the Game of Thrones episodes with dragons and worked on the superhero action series The Boys, too. It's just about a nod to the old school again. In addition, the simplicity of it intensifies the moments when CGI actually kicks in with reality that creeps into Vision and Wanda's ideal. Due to the lack of CGI, a huge part of the WandaVision's development fell on the actors' shoulders. So, what lengths did they have to go on to own it? 2-week sitcom boot camp. The Marvelous cast had to go to school before jumping into that bizarre world. The director wanted them to grasp the idea of how the sitcom actually worked, the tone of it, how it was done on set, and how it has changed over time. Teyonah Parris, who plays Monica Rambeau, revealed, "We worked with the dialect coach on how they spoke in different eras, and how they walked, talked, and moved." Cast members picked the moves that echoed the trademark mannerisms from the iconic comedy shows. There's one, though, that Lizzie Olsen failed to pull off, that nose wiggle Elizabeth Montgomery did in Bewitched, so they had to settle for the waving hand. The MCU star accidentally threw in some Lucille Ball in the second episode because there was a lot of physical comedy, and she brought in so much of Lucy that the director even asked her to tone it down a bit. Deborah Jo Rupp was excited to introduce the unsettling vibe into the show. The actress said that the dinner scene in the first episode felt like a reference to the classic Twilight Zone, which she truly admires.
Stop it!
As for Olsen, she enjoyed the 70s the most in WandaVision because of its absurd representation of an aspirational family and the most unrealistic version of a birthing experience one can have. Paul Bettany picked the same period as his co-star, adding that he loved doing the title sequence with the couple cooking, shopping, and biking in Westview. It really lent itself to what, it turns out, is Elizabeth Olsen's and my strong suit, which is overacting wildly. Your mugging on the tandem bicycle will be a lasting memory for me. Looks like these two have really synchronized playing side by side over the years, haven't they? Wanda plus Vision equals perfect match for Rom's sitcom. Bettany says that Vision exists for Wanda, and they're like a unicorn relationship. Olsen thinks they're literally soulmates, with Wanda being highly empathetic and Vision being a highly rational thinker. They are even physically bonded, both having a piece of the Mind Stone in them.
We are an unusual couple,
Oh, I don't think that was ever in question.
This superhero couple was the perfect choice for being kinda locked together in such an intimate domestic bubble, and the actors who have been playing them for 6 years have the chemistry needed to pull it off just like that.
We both have these inner children that met on this show.
That's right.
And we are just hamming it up like we have never done in our careers before.
Paul seems to be more practical about their match, just like his character.
I love working with Lizzie for a number of reasons. She's incredibly punctual.
By the way, Bettany thought he was being fired when Marvel called him over to pitch WandaVision. As his character, died in Infinity War, the actor was ready for a goodbye.
So I went in and I said, look, no, just absolutely no hard feelings. It's been a great run. Thank you so much. And they went, wait, are you quitting? And I went, no, aren't you firing me? And they went, no, we were going to pitch you a TV show. And I went, oh, excellent.
Proving their professional relationship is evolving just like their romantic one on screen, the Avengers star had their first ever quarrel on the WandaVision set. The incident, which they described as Snotgate, happened while filming an emotional kiss and someone's nose started running. She'll tell you a crock of shit about whose snot it was, Bettany said. I know the truth, and people shouldn't be fooled by her story. Olsen retorted that her co-star can't feel his face at all when he's wearing that makeup, and that he couldn't even tell he was snotting, and she could. We're inclined to believe the Scarlet Witch because the Vision's makeup is so heavy that even Mark Ruffalo couldn't recognize the man he worked with for years under that red skin.
Holy shit, it's Ewan McGregor.
Okay, turning into superheroes is a piece of cake for them now. How about switching images while jumping between fashion eras? According to Paul Bettany, it was no less imaginative and fun. The whole thing was just hilarious, he said. I laughed at that costume so much because I didn't have to work too hard for laughs. Elizabeth Olsen enjoyed her fun time too, trying on a huge headband, a leotard, and even pink tights prepared for the 80s episode.
We're all just getting to really invest with wardrobe, hair, makeup, design, everything.
Can't wait to see them in Halloween costumes, which will resemble some of the iconic looks. And if we got the Marvel featurette right, we'll also see them keeping it real in a 90s reality show.
I'm fine.
Meanwhile, check out our video about the real-life partners of the WandaVision cast. Click here and stay awesome.